First off, I know everybody's time is precious. We have scheduled for this candidate forum 2 hours. I'm not sure how long it will take, but we did have all candidates except Gilbert Benavides, Mayor Lopez, Joe Craig, and George Radnovich. I want to say thank you to all you people who are attending and participating in this important event.
It couldn't be better, sir.
Is Joe coming?
George will be coming. He's going to be a little late because of a.
Joe's right here. Hello.
Well, you're just so blonde, what can I tell you? Good old white boy.
Okay, can we get the meeting started? Mayor, could you call the meeting to order, please?
I don't have a gavel.
Okay. All right. I just want to say thank you all for participating, and I want to thank the candidates for agreeing to meet with us, because I think it's very important for us residents and for the village as we go forward. We not only invited KLRR, and I see a lot of my neighbors, we also handed brochures out to roughly 200 people throughout the neighborhoods of the village, asking them, telling them about the opportunity to come listen to their candidates. And I see we have a few that have accepted that, and we appreciate that. So, let me explain. This is put on by KLRR, Ranchos Rural. It's our grassroots group, which most of you are members. The position KLRR has taken is one of neutrality as it relates to any candidate for mayor. We have decided that because the group was so divisive and there were certain camps set up, that we would act as the conduit of information for all of the candidates and allow for meetings or multiple meetings so candidates can speak to their candidacy and the reasons for them wanting to be mayor of this village. So and I'll just put this out right now, and when I say KLRR will act as a conduit, I welcome any candidate to submit their contact information to KLRR, KeepLosRanchosRural@gmail.com. We will publish it to the group, and the group is made up of roughly now 230 people, both business owners and individuals in this village. So we get a lot of coverage. And we will act as that conduit to publish the information. So any individual that wanted to support a particular candidate, they'll have the opportunity to reach out to that candidate's information and then support that candidate at their own will, right? Now, we originally were going to have a trustee forum, but we dropped that because of the time requirements. We just couldn't negotiate getting everybody together. So KLRR originally has endorsed candidate Jennifer Kiefer and Frank Renault. Frank is teaching tonight. He couldn't be here. So we just ask all of you, if at all possible, as candidates to support these individuals. We think they're the right ones for trustee. If at all possible, we'd appreciate that. And KLRR that's the endorsed candidates that we're going to support. So we do take sides on trustees right now. Let me go over review the format of this forum. As you all were asked to, there's just cards that have your name on it, and if the question is for a particular candidate, you were going to drop it in the bin. We're going to collect those bins, and if there's an all question, there's an all bin. We will then put the bins up. We're going to allow 3 minutes opening statements by the candidates. Then we will start drawing from the bins. So there's no fully transparent, no editing by us, KLRR, or me, as to what questions get asked. We will call the individual by name. Loretta will go by, give the microphone to that individual, and it will be based on the candidate. You can ask that question for that candidate, okay? Does that make sense? When there's an all, then we will ask each candidate to respond to that question. Is that reasonable? We did allow in the email that anybody that couldn't make it to tonight, they could submit it via email. So Robert, filled out just an email, all 1, 2, 3, 4, email Don, 1, 2, email Gil, whatever, email George. And those are in the bins. If they are drawn, then I will ask Amy to read the questions that were submitted by email. So there's no editing. So it's what we want to at least attempt to do, and I just asked everybody, we're all in the village together, and we want to act with integrity and ensure that we try to be as polite as possible. This is not a forum to take out your hostilities. This is except for David.
Oh, David's back there? Oh, no.
This is a forum to ask the pertinent questions, to get the candidate's opinion so you can make a educated selection, right? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and,
I'll go out and get a,
Do we have water, Robert?
unfortunately, I forgot the water. I barely remember to bring myself.
Do we have any water?
Okay, why don't we go ahead and let's start with the opening statements. And let's start with Gilbert, and
It's hydrating water.
I have one.
can I stand up there?
You can stand up, and
Is it okay?
Drink it.
It's
It's cold.
okay.
It's water, as long as it's
It's
water.
Ready.
it's a hydrating water.
everybody ready?
Yes.
Hi. Is this working?
Yes.
You can hear me? Okay. I'm Gilbert Benavides, and I'm a candidate for the mayor of Los Ranchos for two reasons, basically. I think I have the better vision, and I like to get things done. Let me talk to you about my relevant experience. So I was on Planning and Zoning Commission for 2.5 years before being elected as a trustee, which is a part of the governing board. I serve on the Water Authority. I'm a retired engineer. I have a master's in science. I've managed large projects with large budgets. Budgets about as large as the village of Los Ranchos currently has. While at Sandia, we worked with project plans. I put together budgets, put together tasks, and we delivered products. So I like to get things done. So let me tell you what I've done as your public servant, okay? I'm just not here to tell you how good things are going to be. I'm here to tell you what I've done as a prerequisite to how things are going to be in the future, okay? So as your public servant, when I was on planning and zoning, the additional winery came up on Chavez, and I stood up for the citizens to limit the number of large events, to increase off-street parking, and to place a ban on outdoor amplified music. I did that on my own, and that eventually got enacted. I can tell you that Friends of Los Ranchos were opposed to me doing that, okay? In fact, they kicked us off of being a member of Friends of Los Ranchos because of that. Okay, so I did moratoriums. I called for the moratorium on C1. I called for the moratorium on the Conservation Development Project. I called for more police officers to patrol our village, and you're starting to see that now, and more can be done in that regard. And I want to tell you that I have no connection to Palindrome. What you see there is, I did not vote on anything that has to do with what you see there. So how much time do I have?
You have 30 seconds.
So in regards to my vision, we can talk about 4th Street. I'm in favor of improving 4th Street all the way to Ortega, to the north limit of the village. I'm in favor of making 4th Street look like a village, which means you'll see shops, you'll see more art in the village, and you'll see it being pedestrian friendly. I'm in favor of doing more things with our agri-nature center. Okay, I want to see. I think the staff there is fantastic. No changes, and anybody in regards to the staff at the agri-nature center. But I'd like to see more focus on village things that are important to the village. And in particular, we can talk later about events and how we might be able to recoup some of that money from the big events that we do. So I think that's probably my time, right?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, Mayor Lopez.
Thank you very much. I'm Mayor Donald T. Lopez. I was first elected in the village in 1992 as a trustee.
A little louder, please.
Can you turn up
Does this thing have volume?
Yeah, it should.
Okay.
Can you stand up? Stand up.
I don't want to stand up. I need to be able to read from my project book. I'm sorry.
Can you hear it now?
No, it's
Can-
not on.
Is there another mic?
Let's try that.
Hello?
Now we're-
Let's do that one.
Thank you very much. I'm Mayor Donald T. Lopez, Village of Los Ranchos de Albuquerque. I was elected as a trustee in 1992, and then when the late mayor passed away in 2018, I got named mayor, confirmed by the trustees, and I ran for re-election in 2019 and won. The problem, the situation is simple. Let me read the oath of office for mayor. It's the same for a trustee and the same for planning and zoning commissioner. I, having been elected to the office of mayor of the Village of Los Ranchos, County of Bernalillo, State of New Mexico, do solemnly swear that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States and the laws of the State of New Mexico and the ordinances of the Village of Los Ranchos. I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability. The reason this is so critically important comes to what the late Mayor Larry Abraham said after he defeated me when I ran against him in the spring of 2016. Here's what he said. There's a lot to be learned. Since this is my first column since the election, I will comment briefly on the electoral process. I think contested elections are a necessary part of our democratic ideal at all levels of government. I learned a lot about the village during this election. This may not have happened had this been an uncontested election. Congratulations to Don Lopez for mounting a respectable campaign and for caring about the future of the village. He further said, I also heard from our residents that housing was a long-term concern, specifically creating the opportunity for more affordable housing for all ages. This would include housing for the millennial generation, as well as housing for residents who want to downsize and retire in smaller homes in Los Ranchos. The bottom line is, the Planning and Zoning Commission that was named by the late mayor in 2016, 2017, and 2018 approved a village ordinance that set the height, the density, and the setbacks. Thank you. That's it.
Oh, you still got a minute.
Oh, I did? Okay.
What binged?
Something big.
Okay.
Okay.
Just joking.
I'm sorry. The village trustees that were elected in 2019, Tom Riccabini, Sandra Pacheco, were endorsed by the Friends of Los Ranchos. I have the magazine right here, I can prove it. Trustee Alan Lewis was sitting there. Trustee Pablo Rael was sitting there. Pablo Rael could not vote on the Village Center project because he had to recuse himself. The trustees that were supported by Friends of Los Ranchos and elected in the fall of 2019 approved the development agreement for the Palindrome project. I did not vote on that. I haven't had a single vote with Palindrome on there because I can only vote when I break ties. Getting back to my point, the mayor has to uphold the ordinances of the Village of Los Ranchos. If you can figure out a way to change them overnight, go for it. But it doesn't happen that way. And so therefore, whoever becomes mayor is gonna have to take that oath, believe in that oath, and uphold the ordinances of the Village of Los Ranchos. That's it.
Thank you, Mayor. Joe?
Can you guys hear me? I can speak loud.
We can barely hear you, Joe.
Okay. Thank you all. Thank you all. Seriously, this is incredible to see you all here. This is small town America. This is what we all have been fighting for since the revolution. I was teasing David about my grandparents and his great grandparents. Wow, I mean, whatever happens here, thank you all. This is important. This is democracy in action, and we're doing it. I'll go ahead. That's just my feeling here. You know, as of my vision for as a mayor village of Los Ranchos, I'll work to restore trust and integrity to our village government. Integrity is a big word. That's important. My administration will listen and respect to the concerns of our residents. We haven't been heard, and here we are in a Bernalillo County Community Center, not in a Village of Los Ranchos Community Center, but in a Bernalillo County Center. Raymond Sanchez was a great leader for us. It's named after him. He did a lot for us. I respect him. I respect this community. Some of the issues that we will address is traffic. Traffic. I talked to Hank Kelly the other day. I talked to David. David called me last night late. He's going, do you hear all the noise on Paseo? I'm going, no. I live in an adobe like a lot of us. Traffic is our issue. I have walked every street in this village, literally. It's amazing. I mean, there's still, I say that, there's a few streets that I've never seen, but I've walked, and you know, I've asked people, what is your problem? It's traffic. And we're gonna work on traffic. Preserving and acquiring open space, our acequias, all of this is important. Protecting our cultural, historic, and natural resources. Wow, we're blocking out the Sandias with the project that's going on at 4th and Osuna. I fought in our village planning and zoning from 2013 to 2015 to keep sets 5 to 6 stories. Right now we've got 48 feet going up in the air. It's blocking our view. That's 16 foot per story. Can you imagine 5 stories or 6 stories? Unbelievable. We want to ensure a healthy village agricultural center. I did that with our Agri-Nature Center. We led the drive for that. Light and noise pollution. You're hearing noise. You're hearing noise on Paseo. David lives 1.5 miles, I think, probably from Paseo. He could hear it. I was down at John Sparks' house. Montano is a roar. Rio Grande is awful. I mean, we're getting so much noise on it. We can fix that. Do we need a cultural community center? Well, here we are in Bernalillo County. I don't know, but we're not meeting in a Village of Los Ranchos facility. And promote Los Ranchos as a destination. Our businesses are destination businesses. Every one of them that has succeeded. I counted 55. Larry Abraham, who I admire greatly, said there's 60. We have destination businesses. People come in here because they feel safe, secure, and want to leave money for us. Our village survives on gross receipts tax. We want people coming in here. We want people happy, spend your money, and then go back.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
George?
I don't think I need a microphone either, do I?
Ellen? You don't?
I don't think so.
Okay. George Radovich, thank you.
Hi.
My name's George Radnovich. I am not a politician. I'm not a career politician. I just got into this kind of approach to helping the place I live 2 years ago when I became a trustee. And so I don't have the experience as a politician that some of us have. I'm not a marketer. I just care about the village of Los Ranchos. And so I've thought about this a lot. And I think what I could bring to the village, the most important thing that I bring to the village as a mayor will be to listen to everyone in the village, and I mean everyone. I think that the way that I think the mayor described, he was sort of part of the way through when I was listening to him. The reason that the mayor is in the position he is in is because we have a strong mayor, weak council type of government. And so I think one of the things we ought to consider as a community is an equal mayor and council type of government, trustees or councilors. What that does is it enables a lot more transparency and a lot more voice to be heard. So some of the things that come to us, Gil and I are new to the trustees position, that came to us with almost no warning, don't happen because the trustees and the mayor can have an equal say and bring things to the office that way. So that's one of the things I'd like to talk about. More open and transparent government is another thing I believe. And I think we've all seen that that hasn't been happening as much as maybe it should have been happening. As many of you may know, I've been asking since the very beginning of when I was a trustee, let's have more public meetings to talk to people. And we just don't have enough. And so listening to people is a big part of what I would bring. I'd like to make the village more unified. And what I mean by that is there's a real dichotomy, I think, between the Rio Grande part of the village and the 4th Street and the neighborhoods around 4th Street part of the village. They're really almost two different places in a way. It's like a tale of two villages. And so I would like to make that a more cohesive, how do I want to put it? I would like to make the village a more cohesive government that listens to people in the neighborhoods over between 2nd Street and 4th Street, as well as the ones between Guadalupe and 4th Street, and the ones over on Rio Grande. And I don't think that's always happening right now. And then we often forget about the neighborhoods north of Paseo. The fact that we haven't improved really the Paseo del Norte open space is testament to that.
15 seconds.
Oh. With that, I think I'll change things for the better, and I'll leave it to you to ask more questions as we go through tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, George. We got the crowd tonight. Thank you, guys. We're going to go ahead and start with questions that people have submitted. So we'll draw. I'll call your name. The microphone will go to you. You'll ask the question. And it'll be, I'll designate the name of the individual and the candidate the question is for, in case you put more than one in for different candidates. I think what we should do is go ahead and let's get an all question started, if everybody's in agreement to that.
Bonnie's waving at you back there.
Yes. Bonnie?
Kelly?
I was just saying, could everyone use that mic?
Okay.
Because
So you can hear? Okay. If you guys would then, okay? Thank you. So let's just start. Email. This is an email submission, all number 9.
Okay, all number 9. Do you agree that in recent years there have been communication failures between village administration and staff and the residents of Los Ranchos? If so, what ideas do you have to engage in and encourage improved communication in the coming years?
So if you guys all agree, I'll just start on the left and go forward, and then with the next question, we'll start with the next individual and go forward, if that's agreeable to the candidates. Yes, Joe? Here. I think Bonnie thinks she would like you to use it.
Bonnie, you want it?
Use it. She's asking that you can use it. They can't hear in the back. Use it, Joe.
Can you hear me okay?
No, use it.
Can you hear me okay? Okay, thank you. All right. We're going to ask you, the question, let me repeat the question, is what do we do about communication? Is that correct?
Basically, yes. How do you improve it?
We have a number of things. The New Mexico Department of Transportation was well known for not communication with people. They hired someone to help them, teach them how to do communication with their constituents. He worked for Taco Bell. I was shocked. But I call NMDOT, it's fabulous. Now what we need to do is hire a extremely qualified village administrator that will meet with our people and talk with them. Our trustees need to meet and talk with our people. We don't have any way to split it up into quarters, but I think we could do a monthly meeting with a trustee, bring them out to the community. We could use our trolley and let's discuss with them what we are going to be doing as far as the village of Los Ranchos. It's important we bring our people in to this. We need to bring our trustees. They don't know what's going on. They're telling me I know more than they know, which is unbelievable. We know more than they know. We're going to have open communication. Thank you.
Okay. So read the question again, please, and then let's keep it to 2 minutes on these questions, please, if we can,
Okay.
because we got a lot of questions.
Do you agree that in recent years, there have been communication failures between the village administration and staff and the residents of Los Ranchos? If so, what ideas do you have to engage in and encourage improved communication in the coming years?
Here's the simple answer to that question. Prior to June of 2022, myself, my staff, and the trustees apparently got no complaints from anybody about things that were going on. Suddenly, in June 22, the village erupted with complaints. That's fine. Starting soon after that, I made the decision to create the Citizens Advisory Committee. And that Citizens Advisory Committee has done a magnificent job. The other day, Robert Chavez gave us a brilliant, in my opinion, a really nice overview of what can be done with that pilot project ordinance. That's the kind of input that we have to have in the future. There will be a new village administrator come January. Ann Simon is retiring the 19th of October. I have named Josh O'Halloran as the acting administrator. He's well liked by everybody in the village. He's the best farmer in the state of New Mexico, I guarantee you that. He's outstanding. The village will look for an administrator who can be that person that our residents really want. Now that we know that people are really concerned about all these issues, I don't know why you didn't speak up before June of 22, but that doesn't matter anymore. We got to move forward and we got to get it done.
Thank you, Mayor. Gilbert?
Question reread.
No, it's okay. That thing's working, I assume, right? So, so I was a strong supporter of the Citizens Advisory Committee as well, and making sure that Robert Chavez was the chairman, and making sure that we had plenty of citizens on that committee. Of course, I will continue to support that effort, and there's lots of work to be done. Our ordinances and village code we need to go through that and clean that up in many different areas. So yes, we have a communication problem. We have this wonderful publication called the Village Vision that goes out to all the households here in the village that we could use more effectively, especially for big things that are coming up, so that you would all be aware of that. Currently, we're changing ordinances we already did the C1. We're working on the Conservation Development Project. And I want you guys to be totally aware of what we're doing, because we could change the ordinance, and then a year from now, somebody comes and does something, and you won't like it. One thing that you should be aware of is if we were to make the Conservation Development Project mandatory, I really want to know how you feel about that. So in regards to communication again, I know for public comment, we only give people 3 minutes, and it feels like it falls like a lead balloon because there's no dialogue. So in between our Board of Trustees meetings, I think we should have an open meeting where we can have a dialogue with the mayor and whatever trustees want to be there. We will have to post it as a meeting with a quorum. But yeah, I think there's lots that we can do. And I do get out there and I talk to many residents. I walk the streets, and I'm walking them now. And I'm listening to you.
Okay, good. Perfect. George?
There you go.
Do you need the question read?
No, I don't think so.
Thank you.
I agree that, is this on? Is it good? Yeah. I agree that there hasn't been very good communications between the administration and the citizens of Los Ranchos. There hasn't been very good communications between the trustees and the administration at the village at points either. I agree with the mayor and Gil that the Citizens Advisory Committee is a really good idea. A lot's gotten done with that committee. However, I think I'd even increase it. I would have a Citizens Advisory Committee, for zoning and ordinances, for open space, for transportation, for agriculture, and for sustainability. Because I don't think there's enough people on, or I think there's different interests that different people have, and I'd like to hear from all of them about those specific cases. The other thing I would do is institute a business advisory committee for the businesses on 4th Street, because I think they need to be heard as well. They are the lifeblood of our money in the village. We don't have a property tax, as you know. We only have a gross receipts tax, and that's where it comes from. So I think I'd do that as well. On a sort of larger level, I think that we need to have more community-based projects. And what I mean by that is often we'll do projects, I'll use 4th Street as an example, that are more, kind of traditional engineering kind of projects. They're less community-oriented. And I think we need to have projects that are more about the community of Los Ranchos. And what I mean by that is more community participation in thinking about what those projects should be and telling the mayor what those projects should be and communicating that way so that when projects do occur, like the Palindome project that the mayor mentioned, they occur with everyone knowing it's coming, or with everyone at least having a say before it gets to that point. So I think the communications needs to happen earlier in the process than it has in the past in Los Ranchos.
Thank you, George. Thanks. God, that was perfect. Perfect timing. Okay, why don't we go ahead, Don, and we'll start with one of the questions. You bet. For you, sir. Oh, boy. That was another. I'm just, those were emails, and I thought we should get somebody here. Cindy Sylvester, Don question. Please take the microphone. 2 minutes, please, Mayor.
I need to hear the question.
Yes, sir.
Hi. I think you already spoke to it a little bit in the sense that your administrator is retiring, but within the last month, there's been 2 planning and zoning commissioners, your administrator, and then a trustee who have all left the village.
Correct.
Which leaves a huge void in the decisions that have already been made, right?
I agree.
And so, first of all, what was your process for picking the new administrator? Now, I didn't realize you had picked another one. And what's going to kind of stop the bleeding, I guess, to put it in that sense, for your new administration?
Well, it's a simple process, but it's a difficult process. I'm down 2 P&Z commissioners today. I'm looking for 2 good volunteers to be planning and zoning commissioners. You can come to my office and apply, and if you're a good person and you're somebody that really cares for the village, I will appoint you. It's that simple. The administrator is a whole different problem. The administrator, like Kelly Ward, Juan Vigil before that, and it goes even farther back. These individuals have to be exceptionally well qualified. They have to be great communicators, and they have to be able to really interact with the village. I thought that having an administrator who lived in the village would be a positive. Maybe it should be the other way around, because prior to that, the administrators came from the outside. They didn't live in the village. So that's a tough decision to have to make. It depends on the quality of the individual. Getting back to stopping the bleeding, here we are at the end of an administration. There's going to be a new mayor, whether it's me or somebody else. There'll be 2 new trustees, probably. In fact, there will be 2 new trustees. The weight on these people is going to be enormous, because everybody in this room has an opinion and they want certain things done. It's not that easy. I've been mayor 5.5 years. I know. I was a trustee for 26 years. So that's the bottom line.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, let's do Gilbert. No name. Does anybody recognize this? How can you allow an in-law to be village council? Who turned this in with no name? Wait, you don't have to answer that. We expected an individual to put their name down.
Don't mind answering.
Okay, well, do you have the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so it's working now. So our village attorney is Nan Winter. She was the village attorney, I believe, since 2017 or something like that.
2019.
2019. So she predates me. The contract is with the law firm that she is part of, and she's mostly the representative out of that law firm, but not all the time. She doesn't do litigation, so if this lawsuit goes to district court, it'll be somebody else. She does contracts. She is not my in-law by definition. There is a connection in the fact that 2 people that happen to love each other, my daughter and her son, got married. And she does not affect public policy at all. She has not taken an opinion about palindrome, for example. I don't even know if she likes it. She's never said one way or another. And so there's nothing illegal. We checked the laws to see if there's a relationship that's worth reporting. And I don't know what she's done wrong. She offers legal opinion based upon what other people ask her whether or not it can be done. I don't know what more I can say about that. There is a contract that goes out for bid. There's not a whole lot of attorneys that do municipalities and utilities. There are others, but there's not a lot of them. And she's from a firm that's well respected. So it could go out on bid again, perhaps, and if that makes people happy.
Thank you, Gilbert. Thank you, Gilbert. Okay, George, next. Simple instructions. Best laid plans. Does anybody recognize, have you not resigned? Why have you not resigned as agent? I wish people would put their name. I'm going to make a rule. If you didn't put a name, I'm not going to ask the question. Not going to ask it for you. So
That's a good rule.
You may answer that or not answer that. Okay, up to you. Want to answer?
You know, I've talked about palindrome, I think, at every one of these. I think this is the 4th time we've had this debate or forum. I have been told by 2 lawyers that I need to recuse myself every time palindrome comes up as an issue because they are my client. I'm a landscape architect. I did the landscape plan for the palindrome project. And I actually think the landscape plan will help that project if it ends up getting built, because it's going to buffer and screen those buildings that everybody hates so much. And I understand why everybody doesn't like them. They're tall, and there's just a wall along the side of the street. So I've done everything I can to do that. But I don't think I have I don't think there's any legal issues surrounding me doing that. It's what I do for a living, and I've recused myself every time. There have only been 2 times it's come to the trustees, so not very often. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Okay, Joe. Dr. Charles Eberly. Loretta, could you get Charlie a microphone, please?
I had to ask you, Joe, why, when you were in planning and zoning, you voted for the 3-story buildings in the city center when there had been nothing in this village of that size since we've been here. And why would you vote for that and at the same time care so much about the village and its density? And I'd like an answer to that.
Thank you, Charlie. That's an excellent question. I spent 5 years, I think that's 5, on planning and zoning. A year and a half of that we spent on the height for the village center. And it was being proposed by a village planning and zoning commissioner to go to 5 or 6 stories because she had been to Paris. You've been to Paris, I've been to Paris. This is not Paris. We stopped, and I'm very proud of this, we stopped the 5 to 6 stories. Right now you have 48 feet. You cannot see the mountains with those 3-story jammed up against our street. Can you imagine that 16 feet a story? I don't think that works out. Can you imagine, say, 70 or 80 feet that was being planned? I called Larry Abraham numerous times and said, we cannot do this type of height. I'm proud that we kept it down to 3 stories. Now, our Gateway Center, which is the other end, in my neighborhood, we have 3 stories. El Pueblo, those apartments along El Pueblo between 2nd and 4th are 3 stories. They're set back, they're landscaped, they're not awful, but you had to get the density. Now I was one planning and zoning commissioner out of 7, by the way. I forced them to bring in a planning person, Susan Henderson, with Gateways. Is it Gateway, George? Pacemakers. Pacemakers. Well, sorry. Fabulous planners. She listened to us for 3 months. We argued, and I said, you cannot do 5 stories. And she sat there and she said, you cannot do that type of density without doing a parking structure. So the vertical density got thrown out. We are now doing horizontal density with no parking structure. And the reason for that is cost. It drive up the market rates of those apartments. There is 204 apartments. There's 100 or 102 parking spaces. I asked Chad Reneker why he did that. And he said, well, it's money. They're jamming up against Osuna because they need the space. They're going to be parking on the streets, on your street. They're going to be parking across the street. He said, we'll just park in the neighborhood. We don't care. It's unbelievable.
Joe?
Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you. Okay, well, let's take another all, and we'll start with George. Randy McKee. Randy McKee?
Good afternoon. We've heard an awful lot over the last 2 or 3 years about how everything is referenced back to the 2035 master plan. We participated in that a little bit when they got it started. We actually left because it was somewhat of a railroad. We walked in and participated, and it was all predetermined before we got there. this is a question for all four of you. Will you commit to revisiting the 2035 master plan and looking at it with the best interest of the village? Again, yes or no only?
Absolutely, yes.
I will not answer that as a yes or no because it's a flawed question. It's not a plan. It's not a plan because it doesn't have all the elements of a plan. It doesn't say what the deliverable is. It doesn't say what the schedule is. And it doesn't talk about resources. It's just a bunch of objectives. So revisiting is fine, but you do not have to follow it. It's not a high priority issue.
Thank you, Gilbert. Mayor?
I think your question is wonderful, Randy. It's obvious that the people in this room think a big mistake was made with the 2035 master plan. Okay, I hear that. So if that's the case, if the village residents want to revisit that plan, I see no reason not to, personally. I mean, that plan was started in 2018. It was finished in November of 2019. January 24 is 5 years. We used to do a 10-year. I don't know why we did 15, but we chose it. In retrospect, we probably should have gone back to the 2030 or whatever you want to call it. But the answer is straightforward. If the residents of the village want it revisited, this is your plan. It's not my plan, it's not the trustees' plan, but they do have to implement it, and the staff has to work towards that. That's my answer.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Joe?
Yes, without a doubt. I'm one of the authors, along with George Rodnovich, of the 2020 master plan. I think that was a very good master plan. It got completely destroyed in this 2035. I walked out of the meetings. Hank Kelly and Bonnie Kelly walked out of the meetings. We have to redo this. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe. Okay, let's start with another individual. Danny Petra Taglia for Gilbert. Who? Danny.
Military butchered it.
Did I?
No, the military does.
Talia Pietro.
Alphabet with a T front and center.
Okay. My apologies, Danny.
That's all right.
So my question to you, Gilbert.
Yep.
When we were at the Ag Center, and we talked about, and they had all of these,
What do you call, pictures and
Plan.
the plans, everything was set up. And you said, it's a done deal. There's nothing I can do about it. And I go, what the hell? That's not right.
So, is that your question?
So what's
The question is, why is there nothing you could have done about it?
I guess I don't need this.
So there's a development agreement that was signed in 2020 by the mayor, and there are challenges in district court to perhaps undo that. Until that gets undone, nothing can be done about it. It's a contractual agreement between the village and Palindrome. There are $58 million in investments in the apartments alone. And there could be liability that comes back to us. Our budget is only $12 million a year. So I don't know what you expect me to do. I didn't vote to change the village code that allowed that to happen. I didn't go touring with Palindrome to try to get business with Craig and Company and Site Southwest. I didn't do any of that. Now you want me to fix something that other people started. So what can I do? I wish I could do something. I'm sorry. But I am just telling you how it is. And I know people are angry about that. I've been walking neighborhoods. People are going to vote a certain way because of that, but not everybody believes. In fact, I couldn't find anybody that believed that it could be undone.
Okay, thank you, Gilbert. Okay, George. George, email number 2.
You were named prominently in the FLR lawsuit. Didn't Mr. Craig run your trustee campaign? He was your marketing consultant for your company and accompanied you to the site visit. He now seems to be pointing at what is noted as your conflict while he is running for mayor, completely ignoring his conflicts. Are you surprised he decided to run for mayor?
I'm just the messenger. I assure you, we are fully transparent and allowed any questions.
That's right.
Other than the ones that don't have names on them.
Well, he just pleaded the fifth.
Well, I want to clarify something that Gilbert just said first. I did not go looking for Palindrome when we started working for them. I started working for them 7 years ago in other projects that they've done around the city. So they're an old client. And I started working on that project on 4th and Osuna 2 years before I became trustee. So I didn't market them. They were already a client. As far as Joe goes, yes.
You're surprised.
But he wasn't really, Joe and I collaborated on my trustee run. I didn't really have a marketing manager. I mostly did it myself, but Joe did help me with talking me into the advert that ran on Paseo del Norte. Did any of you see that? The billboard that flashed my mug? No? He talked me into that, and he helped me post some signs. But as far as manager, I didn't really have one.
So, thank you, George. Okay, Joe, next. Or Don. Let's do Don, right? That's the order. Don, email to